Welcome to After School with Mr. Van Huss, episode 7. I'm very excited about my special guest today because I've known him since he was in high school. Now, you may have seen him as a contestant on season 20 of American Idol, or you may have seen him play a show with his band, the Night Owls. Either way, you're in for a treat, and you're in for a treat now. Please make welcome Cole Ritter. Welcome to After School with Mr. Van Huss. My guest today, Cole Ritter. Cole, how's it going?
Going great. Glad to be here.
Very happy to have you. You are the first alumni of Station Camp High School that I have actually had on this show. The first one that I actually crossed paths with in the hallways here a little bit. So I can't wait to get your perspective and have you share some words of wisdom with some of the students that may be watching this. So for anybody who may not know who Cole Ritter is, tell us a little bit about yourself, what it is that you do.
So I am a full-time musician. I'm 23 years old, and this is kind of like the first year and a half or so that I've actually been doing music full-time. So I'm mainly a songwriter and a singer, and I write my own songs as well. And I play a little fiddle on the side too. So you kind of have to be a little bit of a jack of all trades to be successful in the music industry. But that's what I do.
Now, you started playing fiddle at a pretty young age, right?
Yeah, I was 3 years old. So this is my 20th year of playing fiddle, actually this October.
That's incredible. And you play fiddle, guitar. Is there anything else you play?
Mandolin, piano, bass, mostly just stuff with strings. I can't play the drums or anything like that. I wish I could.
That's okay. If you get those string instruments, that can play into a lot of different stuff. So that's good. That's very good. So what influenced you to do what you do?
I think one of the biggest things that influenced me to do what I do is just like watching, people who are a little bit older than me succeeding at it. I think that's a huge reason why I do what I do is because I had awesome mentors and buddies who were a little bit older than me. Some of them a lot older. Who kind of just like told me that I had the ability to do this and kind of help sort of shepherd me more in the direction of doing that. But I think music is something that's so personal, and I think that you have to fall in love with it for yourself too. And I think having some like cool friends who were also playing music definitely helped. But I think I really fell in love with it for myself at about age 13, and I'd already been playing about 10 years, and I kind of I discovered that I really, really wanted to do this, even, pursue it in college and hopefully further than that as well.
Now, who were your heroes growing up? Like, who did you listen to? Who did you want to be like?
Well, I have a few, and I think a really big one for me is Chris Isaac right off the bat, because Chris, what I liked about Chris is that he was able to take a lot of old parts and pieces and then bring them into a completely new and different generation. But he also had, new aspects of what he did as well. And I think that's sort of what I like as well. I like, things that are a little bit older, but have a lot of new ideas in them as well. So whether that's from a production standpoint, like how the music's actually made or instrumentation wise, or even just, adding a little bit of modern like rock and roll flair to it, that's kind of what I like to do. So you just take old things and kind of bring them in with the new.
So tell me a little bit, and I already know the answer to this one, but what was high school like for you? What kind of stuff were you into in high school?
Oh man, well, I love high school actually. It was good for me. A big reason is because there was at Station Camp, there was a lot of great teachers there, like you, and people, who genuinely really do care about the students, which I don't think that everybody I know has had that same experience at other schools, but I know for sure at Station Camp, like I really felt supported all throughout high school. Um, I was into theater. I was very involved with that as my mom was teaching theater at the time at Station Camp. But outside of that, I was super involved in a lot of like local music groups and stuff like that. And even some of my buddies from Station Camp, we had a little band at the time, and we were playing weddings. So while all the rest of our friends were flipping burgers, we were playing weddings and stuff like that to make our money. So
I remember this great theater show that your mom put on that you guys were jamming out a little bit, and I not only convinced you to sit in with me and play a '90s medley that time, but I'm pretty sure I jumped into a couple of choruses of Johnny B. Good when you guys were jamming at the end of a show once or twice, and
Yeah.
it was a blast. I think I first became aware of you. You never had me for a class, but I had numerous people here at school that had come up to me and said, "Oh, do you know Cole? You know, you need to talk to Cole," because they knew I had a music business background, and I've already had, always had this love of music and things. And I remember when you were probably 16, 17, you were already blowing everybody away here. And I remember people telling me that, and I think I just got you in the hall one day and was like, "Hey, we got to meet. I want to know more. Tell me what you're doing and stuff." And was just always happy to see what just a talented, good kid you were and things like that. Did you have a favorite teacher or any kind of mentor while you were here in high school?
Yeah, I had a lot of favorite teachers. Coach Massey at the time was definitely one of them. He's not at Station Camp anymore, but I loved Coach Massey. Let me think who else. I always loved Mindy Rodriguez. She was great as well. Of course, I have to be a little biased here and say my mom was one of my favorite teachers. But
Absolutely.
so many great teachers at Station Camp. And all of them, understood like what I was, wanting to do with my music, and like all of them were very supportive and interested in that beyond just, um, you know, just like, oh, that's cool. Like they would take time out of their day and genuinely ask me, like how music's going and stuff like that. And, and they still continue to do that, to this day. And now I've been out of high school for 5 or 6 years now. And that's just super cool to me. So yeah, Station Camp has a tendency to have great teachers. So,
Now, what did you do after high school? What was your next step?
so my next step was initially I went to Belmont University, and I was pursuing a commercial violin major. So that means that I was learning to play fiddle for other artists, essentially. And that's what I thought that I wanted to do at the time, and I did. But the issue I think was I started touring as soon as I turned 18 with other bands on the weekends. So school got progressively more difficult as I went along through that, and then COVID hit too. And I think I had just kind of like this realization that like I wanted to be a songwriter, because I love playing with other bands, but it's just like you know if I felt like it was literally like my role in life to tell other people's stories and tell my own stories, and so I kind of transitioned away from that and doing that. And then as COVID rolled around, I kind of moved towards doing music business. And unfortunately, whenever American Idol happened, I essentially had to take some time off from school, and then the reality of paying bills and rents kind of started hitting really hard. And then it was up to me to pay for things at that point in time, which was awesome. But it definitely like fast tracked me into like having to figure out how to make my own money, doing the only thing I know how to do, and that's playing music. So it was the necessity of playing music that I think you know actually got me to be able to make money doing this, if that makes sense. It was that need that if I don't play music and if I don't get gigs, like the bills aren't going to get paid. So it was kind of out of desperation, but also now I love it. I mean, I could do something else, but like this is a much better way. So
Now, I was going to bring up American Idol because I know there's a lot of people out there who that may have been how they first met you, was when you were a contestant on the show. Can you just tell us a little bit about what that experience was like?
so initially I was reached out to by essentially a talent scout. And I had already been approached like a year before that, but I just didn't think it was something that I wanted to do because it's a TV show, and sometimes it can not always work in your favor. It's competition and stuff like that. It's not that I was afraid of like losing or anything like that. It was more just like I wasn't sure how it was actually help my career. Uh, but it just kept popping back up in my life for various reasons. So I realized that I thought that it was something that I might try. So I auditioned, and I went through a series of Zoom calls, actually, just like this, but I was singing. and I sang for them, and then the producers allowed me to move forward and end up auditioning for the judges, which were Katy Perry, Lionel Richie, and Brian. Um, yeah, and I got three yeses in that first round, which was super cool. And then I ended up, making it through pretty much to the top 24 cut of 120,000. So I'll take that. I think that's pretty good. And the truth is like I didn't really care about winning. I just wanted to, increase my network. So now like I have tons of friends who are super, super, super successful in the music industry, who are very young. And we all support each other and still follow each other and, want to see each other succeed. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I got out of that. And it also legitimized what I was doing. So that I'm not just like, just some kid with a dream. I'm actually able to, really make it happen kind of because Idol sort of legitimized what I was doing, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. So what is one life lesson that you've learned that you would pass on to like high school and college students?
Well, I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give to, anybody who is unsure about what they're doing or maybe isn't receiving the right support, if you're supposed to do something in life, like whatever your calling is, like you can make it happen. You just have to be willing to, not take no for an answer and just keep doing it. Especially like if you're generally good at something, like, find a way to make money and also don't pigeonhole yourself. By thinking that there's only one way to do the same thing, because there's not. As a musician, like the ways that I'm, making my money and getting rent paid and car payments and all that, I would say about 70% of it is playing my music, is my artistry. And then there's the other 30% that where I'm working on, recording sessions for people. I'm playing on other people's projects. And I'm playing, for other people's bands and live shows or, even just cover gigs and stuff like that. Like that's still a part of the equation for me. And I think that if I were to pigeonhole myself into doing one thing and thinking that there's only one way that I can succeed while doing music, I think that I would be missing out on a lot of opportunities to do what I love. So, number one, it's, don't take no for an answer. And if you keep working hard enough, you will figure out a way to do it. And number two, don't limit yourself to, thinking that there's only one path to do the job that you want to do.
That's great advice. You're very wise for your young age. You've already learned some good things, so that's excellent. So what's next for Cole Ritter? I know you're fronting your band, the Night Owls. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing. Are you on tour? What's going on?
So we were pretty much on tour all summer long. So we played at 3 state fairs and a ton of festivals and other live dates, and it was so fun. But I am home for the rest of the year, and I am so glad to be home for the rest of the year. So I'm just taking some gigs in town right now, and we're playing some shows around and stuff like that. But touring is so fun, and I'm sure that we will be touring, again next year. But I think right now I'm a little bit more in a season of writing songs. So I'm just looking to write songs and play gigs around town. And that's how the music industry is in the summertime. We are super busy and never home. And then we get back here and, now we're in town and writing songs and playing gigs. And that's our slow season. So that's just kind of how it always works out.
Well, my friend, I am always cheering for you. One thing that I have always appreciated, even when you were younger, is your versatility. Like you can play a church event and everybody goes home happy. You can play a concert hall or a honky tonk somewhere and everybody goes home happy. So you're living out those words of wisdom that you're getting out there and doing, whatever you can do, whatever you need to do. And you're phenomenal. So I encourage anybody watching this, if you get a chance to see Cole live, go check it out because you will not be disappointed at all. And I thank you so much for being on my little YouTube show here. I'm always cheering for you real loud wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. And if you ever need anything, there's a ton of people here at Station Camp that have got your back.
Thank you.
And it was great talking to you. And thank you so much for staying after school with Mr. Van Huss. Sure, our paths will cross very soon, my friend. Take it easy.